All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jay Olson and I'm Bandwango's Chief Revenue Officer. Today we've got a really exciting topic to present to you all. Some of you watching today may know Bandwango from the 500 plus tourism destinations where our technology powers really fun passes and things to do for travelers and locals. Things like attractions passes, ale trails, mural walks, and more. If you check out your local tourism website, there's a good chance they're already using Bandwango. But now, over the last 12 months, that same underlying technology is powering really fun experiences and driving real results for higher education. As you know, higher education has goals to attract prospective students and their families, showing the best of what's in and around campus, and also to engage current students, fans, and alumni. It's really the perfect fit for the underlying Bandwango technology. Now, many of you joining today may recognize us from the higher education conferences we've been attending over the past few quarters. Events like NACAC, where we were 3 weeks ago in Columbus, Ohio, AMA, where we ultimately got connected to Haley and Devin on the call today. We're going to be going to that one again in a few weeks in Maryland, and also CIVSA, which has a fun connection to this conversation as well, where we've had the chance to connect with so many of you face to face. And now this webinar was designed with you in mind. Whether you're already familiar with Bandwango or just starting to learn about us, we've got a lot of really great content to show you today. Now today, alongside Devin and Haley, just two amazing rock stars and innovators in the higher education space, we'll talk you through the powerful outcomes this technology is driving in the higher education space. Now, before we dive in, just a little bit of housekeeping. This session will be recorded. The chat is open for your questions, and we'll definitely save time at the end for Q&A. So feel free to drop in any comments or reactions as we go. And before we introduce you to Devin and Haley, which I'm so eager and excited to do, I do want to share the goals of this webinar so we can get on the same page and to showcase what we hope you get out of today's webinar. The goal for today are threefold. First, give you a really clear understanding of Bandwango's higher education solution, what it is and why schools are using it. Two, showcase real examples and results from the University of Montana. You'll hear directly from Devin and Haley about the why and how they're using their passes, what's working, what they've learned, and what's next. And lastly, highlight the broader capabilities of the platform and showcase and share what's really resonating across the higher education landscape right now. Now, in order to get to these goals today, here's an outline of the topics we'll talk through. First, we'll officially welcome Devin and Haley to the webinar, which I'm thrilled to do. Next, we'll talk through their Bandwango pass journey from the discovery of the Bandwango platform at AMA to their team's evaluation to their first launch and beyond. Next, we'll talk about the successes Devin and Haley are seeing based on the data that they're actually capturing through the platform. Following that, we'll look ahead to see where Montana has expanded and will be expanding in the future based on those successes. And finally, we'll take audience Q&A, showcase a few Bandwango fun features that we've added, wrap up today's webinar, leaving you with our contact information to continue the conversation. Okay, and now the most important part, I'd love to introduce you to Haley Rodner, the Assistant Director of New Student Success, and Devin Carpenter, the Director for New Student Success at the University of Montana. Haley and Devin are thought leaders and innovators in the higher education space, and now I'm proud to call them friends and welcome them here today. A huge welcome to you both for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Jay. Happy to be here.
Great. Well, Devin, I'd love to start with you. I'd love to just start, we got connected through your colleague Karen while we were at AMA. Do you want to just tell the story of how we got connected and how we're here today?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again for having us, and thanks everyone for being here. Our Office for New Student Success oversees all of our transition and orientation programs for incoming students at the undergraduate level. And so Karen, she works in marketing and does a lot with our brand experience and is often kind of the connector for people on campus. And so she invited myself and some folks from our admissions and enrollment team and some folks from athletics to a demo of this product. And what really caught my attention about it was that it seemed to actually solve a lot of challenges for an existing program that we had tried to implement several times and just never really kicked off. And so back in 2019, we started a collaboration with our downtown association called the Very Important Grizz or VIG program. And really the idea was I initially was embedded in the admissions office and so was also overseeing our sort of visit programs, accepted student days, those kinds of things. And our orientation program also has a ton of community partnerships in it. So working with the Downtown Association was something that we were really trying to expand. And the VIG program in concept was to essentially give students discounts during our week-long orientation program, as well as during our visit days, to be able to go out and explore the community. Missoula, Montana is very much a college town. Students can walk to downtown Missoula within 5 or 10 minutes of campus. And so there's a lot of synergy between those things. And so getting students out into the community is a big priority for us as we are welcoming students and helping them build a sense of belonging. And so we essentially created the brand. We tried either sort of lanyards as an indicator they were here. We've tried wristbands, a variety of things. And we had, every year about 10 or 15 businesses that would offer different discounts. It was hosted on our website. But I never was able to tell if anyone was actually using it. And I never heard many anecdotes of students actually using it. It was a ton of legwork for myself as a one-person office. And I had a no to intern one summer, try and revitalize the program. We went out and gave window clings to all the businesses, but yet again, there was no way for us to actually track who was actually using it. And it was just one of those things where I'm like, I don't know if fetch is ever going to happen. Like it never took off in the way that we thought it was going to. And so we had ultimately decided to sunset the program. I just did not have the time or capacity to do it or maintain it in the way that it needed to be. And so then comes Bandwango, and I'm like, wait a minute, this platform essentially does everything that I've been struggling to do. We after the demo, everyone was really excited about it. It had all of the promise of functionality, of the help from the actual Bandwango team to do a lot of that legwork in communicating with businesses, securing the deals, training their teams on how to do everything. And then for us, the real interesting thing that we're still eager to see at the end of this year is sort of the impact on retention. At the end of the day, our orientation programs are retention programs. And so is being engaged in the community through a platform or a program like the Very Important Grizz program or some of the other passes Haley will talk about here in a little bit, are those students more likely to still be here at the end of their first year of school? And so we're really eager to see that data at the end of the year. I know Jay is going to talk about other schools who are doing it for more of the yield piece, but since we're positioned in that first year retention, that's really what we're focused about. And so after that meeting, we had to figure out budget, of course. But then I just simply did not have the capacity. I think Jay emailed me probably 5 or 6 times over the course of the next year, just being like, hey, are we still going to try this? And every time I was like, yes, I really do. I promise I'm not putting you off, but I just simply do not have the time. And it was because I was hiring my very first assistant director. And so just 7 months ago in March, we hired Haley. And so my office went from 1 to 2. And boy, has that changed a lot. And so I would love to hand it back over to Haley. She really is the brainchild behind all of this and was able to finally kind of get us to that point where it's like, okay, we can take this on. We do have the budget to do it. We know at least the promises that were given to us, which have certainly come true. We're solving all the problems that we had identified, and so let's do it. So yeah, I'd like to hand it back over to Haley and Jay to kind of walk you through how we ended up implementing this and how it's gone so far.
That's amazing, Devin. Yeah, and I remember from AMA when Mo, our CEO, and I were in Las Vegas, we met with Karen, and Karen was so interested that first meeting that she actually bypassed the lunch line and came to build a sample pass with Mo and I at our table and our booth. And she was just thrilled to take that back. And we're so happy, Haley, that you're here today. It sounds like, the internal evaluation process started, Devin, with the marketing and communications team, which took that back to you guys. I know there's separate chats kind of on the admission and more broadly. Did you have a hunch, Haley and Devin, and maybe Haley, you can kind of chat with this as you started getting up to speed before we dive in and talk through the goals and the ROI. Did you have a sense and a hunch that other divisions around campus might be interested in this also as you were evaluating?
Yeah, I think one of the best things about Bandwango is just that the opportunities are endless. You can pretty much build any kind of pass that you want, what's going to fit your campus needs. And so, I mean, other than our office, I saw possibilities within like student life, campus visits and admission, alumni. So there's just so many different possibilities. It's really just dependent upon what you want to build and how you want to build it. So I was really excited about that.
Love that. And what was really funny is that, Devin, I think when you emailed back that you said we're ready to go, we were actually at a higher education conference called CIVSA, which is for the Collegiate Information Visitors Authority in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we were there, and it was just perfect timing to really go forward. And it kind of speaks towards that use case. And we're just thrilled. And I think before we dive in and talk through the goals, obviously when you're considering adding a new software, it's an investment and you need to have that ROI. So Haley, I'll kind of turn it back to you as we kind of go through the goals, but maybe you can just start by talking through the goals that you had, and I can go through the slides of what would justify this towards leadership and what were the things going into the Bandwango experience that you really wanted to achieve. And I'll turn to the first slide here.
Awesome. Thanks, Jay. Yeah, so our first goal was just that we wanted to see at least 75% or more of our incoming first-year students using the platform. To have them within the platform and completing activities and going to different events, we knew that they would be increasing like their sense of belonging on campus and just really getting connected to both the campus community and the Missoula community, which was kind of the intention of us using Bandwango for this. So kind of a lofty goal with 75% of students, but, go big or go home. So
love that. So first, getting everyone to use it. These are actual pictures from Montana at the new student orientation and whatnot. So let's go to goal number 2.
Yeah, so one thing that we wanted to do with Bandwango is we didn't just want to limit it to using it purely for orientation. Kind of like I said earlier, there's so many different opportunities and just use cases for Bandwango. So we wanted to expand all of our offerings so that students used it from the moment they stepped on the campus all the way until they graduated. So having kind of a diverse portfolio of passes.
Love it. Sounds perfect. And if you want to talk through the third one?
Yeah, and then, just in order for us to keep selling it to our leadership and making sure that it's a good investment for us, we wanted to tie it back to student retention and engagement. So how many students were using it, how often were they using it, where were they going, and see if there was a correlation between their engagement through the platform with whether or not they're retaining from fall to spring and fall to fall.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think we've had a lot of conversations, not only with you guys, but with other higher education institutions. And some schools are really hurting from their first year to second year retention rate. And some schools are really hurting from their, graduation rate, which is the people that start to the people that finish. And I think engaging those students and showing them what the future looks like is really compelling. So I just, kudos to you guys for being the first of the Bandwango platform to use this for current students and students on campus. And you really started that, you talk more through it through new student orientation and beyond. And before we talk through the achievements, which I'm so excited and clearly eager to do, I figured we'd start by just talking through, the onboarding process, the data that you were expecting, and then ultimately the pass. So Haley, when you started with us in Bandwango, obviously we wanted to help and get you started, but from your experience, can you just describe what it was like working with our team and Bandwango and doing the onboarding? Was it easy? Was it hard? Was it lengthy? Was it, simple? If you want to just talk through that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think to sum it up, the experience was amazing. It was the team. Shout out to Brandon and Danny, who were my go-to people. But every single time that I had a question or just needed to learn how to do something, they were so helpful, so responsive. They would either offer to do it for me or just to teach me how to do it myself. So I loved the whole hands-on aspect that the team had. And it was just a simple process. And, we did have one technical difficulty getting the pass added to our website, but Danny held my hand throughout the entire process. So the team was just surrounding me on all sides, and I never felt alone through the process. So that was pretty cool.
That's amazing. Yeah, we are clearly putting a lot into this area, and we're so happy. And I think if I'm remembering the timeline correctly, we were probably at CIVSA when you guys said yes, and maybe like May, June, you guys were preparing, in July, and then you launched it in August. So that was kind of when the new student, was that the timing and turnaround that you basically had to not only build it, organize all the deals and offers, which you kind of had, but then promote this and build that plan to ultimately push it. So it was kind of a month or a month and a half-ish of kind of like, foot to the ground and moving. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I want to say, I think it was like 6 to 7 weeks from when we initially like started our conversation to when we wanted to launch it. So it was a very fast process, but like I said, like you guys were there the entire time and really just helped us get from point A to point B. So
love that. Yeah, we're so happy, and you guys are easy to partner with, and we're just like a pleasure, and we're super excited. And I think just to reinforce this, I mean, this is kind of our overall timeline or path to partner, but number 3 is the most important one. So where we wanted to align ourselves throughout the entire conversation that we've had with both of you and Karen is kind of like, how do we help really boost and move the needle as it relates to retention and engagement of your current students? Because if we can do that and be a piece of that puzzle to really just boost that retention rate, boost that engagement rate, that's how we'll both really succeed. So thank you so much for that. I think it's a great overview. We'll dive into the actual platform very, very shortly, but I want to showcase the real pass, and then we can talk through actually how you marketed it, Haley. So do you want to just showcase and tell kind of what it is that you built, at least the first pass, and then showcase what we're showing on the screen here?
Absolutely. So the very first pass that we put in front of students was our orientation pass. So here at the University of Montana, we've got 2 different orientation and onboarding programs. We do an online orientation, and then we do an in-person like week of welcome style program at the beginning of fall semester. So for our in-person program, we wanted students to have a physical way to kind of track their experience from when they moved into their residence hall all the way to the end of the week before they started classes. So what we did with our first pass is we built out like all of the small group sessions that students would go to so that they were able to check in each day with us so we could see what attendance was looking like through the app and see how students were engaging with it. So that was kind of our first pass. And then we just had a mystery prize for students that went through all of the sessions and kind of got in a lot of those points. And that was the first pass. And then the other couple of passes that we built out, we are a Division I athletics school at UM, so our students are very involved in our athletic programs, going to football games, basketball, volleyball, you name it. So we wanted to offer a way for students to kind of see a snapshot of all the athletic events that are going on and just give them a way to track their attendance. So we built out an athletics pass. We also wanted to keep students engaged throughout their entire first year. So that's what the Montana Way Pass at the top is. So that's got different campus events, different Missoula community events. So getting students out and about throughout campus and the community. And then like Devin said earlier, with our very important GRIZ program of kind of that like student deals and discounts program that we were trying to do, we built out a GRIZ savings pass. So that's where students can see all of the businesses that we partner with, what deals or discounts they have, and then students can redeem the discounts and deals through that pass.
Love that. So you clearly expanded a lot, just from what you have. And I do want to call out some of the really, I think, innovative things, Haley, that you and Devin and the team have constructed here. I mean, for those kind of watching, this is a sign-upable mobile pass. It's delivered via text message and email to anyone that signs up. So you sign up, it has a personalized greeting. And then when somebody clicks that link, they can sign up and save it to their home screen on their phone. So it looks like an app, but it's just a mobile optimized website that they see. And in this pass that you're ultimately seeing, that's really a web form, you see a video on that first screenshot there on the left. You see all the check-in opportunities on that second pane there. You see the mystery prize that Haley mentioned there on the third, and some of the expanded passes on the fourth tab. And Haley, I think one of the brilliant things that you and Devin did, you basically sent this to people before they were even on campus, right? And the first check-in, if you can see it, that's a online student orientation event check-in, and that's worth 10 points. But the ones below that for specific date and times, those are meant to be on campus. So do you want to just talk us through, like, what was the thought that went into how you want to engage people initially on that first pass? And we'll get into the numbers later, so don't worry about that. But just what was the thought process going in?
Yeah, so kind of like I talked about, we do an online new student orientation that's really considered like the information download for campus. And so to not only to like award students for finishing the online portion, but also to help get them excited about the Big Sky experience, so that in-person component, we built in like an announcement within the online orientation, letting them know about the very important GRIZ program, which is what we kind of call our entire Bandwango experience. So letting them know to get that Big Sky Experience Pass downloaded, letting them know that they can earn extra points if they download it now and complete the online orientation activity. So really, it was just a way for us to get the word out to students before they even got to campus, so that they were ready to go in time for their first session.
I love that. And I'm just imagining myself, right? You're getting ready to go to university for the first time. You get this, like, you're so excited to meet everyone. And then you get this fun experience. It's not a brochure. It's not an email. It's a fun thing that you can start doing and collect points to win a mystery prize. And to me, that's just so fun. And Haley, have you personally chatted with anyone that signed up, like, and just gotten kind of like their feeling? Like, were they excited about signing up and just ready even more to get on campus?
Yeah, I actually helped a couple students like get the passes like downloaded to their phone, let them know that while it is a website, you can add it like as an app to your home screen. So that was pretty cool for them. And then kind of when I talked about the purpose and how you can get points, they seemed really excited by like the gamification and like the competitive aspect of it. So they seemed really excited about that, which made me feel really excited about what we were offering. So.
I love that. Yeah, they say it's the Pokemon generation, and we probably all played Pokemon Go. And I was listening to one. We actually had a partner of Bandwango, University of Nevada, Reno. They went on a podcast yesterday in the higher education space, and the person was like, "Wow, so this is kind of like the Pokemon Go for universities and whatnot." And she was saying it gets them to explore. So it resonates to me, and it's just fun, especially with the mystery prize. And not that you want to share, but do you know what kind of prizes you guys are giving out as the mystery prize? Or maybe you want to keep that hush-hush?
I mean, it's a mystery.
It's a mystery. I will have to go and enroll. And I'm excited to talk about your expansion opportunities, because there could be a world where I and maybe those listening on the call today could get that prize. But thank you so much for walking us through the platform and really the use cases. And I think just one other highlight here on the events and each individual one, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the group leaders. When someone checks in, Bandwango can do a GPS check-in or a QR code scan or a PIN digit, like someone gives them a PIN digit. You want to just talk to me about the thought process of how you can prove someone is physically there? I know the virtual one, we turned off anything, so anyone can check in from everywhere. But if you want to just talk us through how you selected how you want someone to check in on this pass.
Yeah, so through the Big Sky Experience Pass, we had our orientation leaders. We gave them each like the daily codes for the Tuesday group session, the Wednesday, and so on and so forth. And so during the times that the orientation leaders and the group of students would come together, before they sent them out on their merry way, they had the code that they would give to the students. And so the students could enter in that code just to show that they were there, which helped us with attendance.
Amazing. So secret codes, secret prizes. It sounds like a lot of fun to kind of get involved. I love that across the board. And I think just talking through the marketing for the pass just for a moment, and then we'll talk through reporting. So it sounds like, was this a combination, Haley, like, emailed out to students like they were coming on campus, maybe flyers, posted around campus? What are the ways that you're thinking of from a higher ed perspective to get this out in the hands of the first year students?
Yeah, so I would say that most of our main marketing for the pass came through the new student orientation, like the online track, since it is required for all of our students. They would see that once they finished. And then when students got on campus for the Big Sky experience, when they initially met with their orientation leaders, we would go around and just make sure that all of the students within the group had either already downloaded the pass, or if they hadn't, we had QR codes for the students to scan, and then the orientation leaders would walk them through the process. That way students had it that day one.
Love that. Yeah, and we've learned a lot just about the marketing aspects that work. And I think there are unique channels to higher education to market these passes. I mean, people are obviously on email, they're on text, but even the snail mail and flyers, and even when the outside, like the student life office is closed, there can be a QR code outside where someone could scan it, potentially win prizes. And I'll share more about what we're doing with some kind of alumni programs, because once people graduate, people are everywhere. And how do you kind of engage them to gather their feedback, I think time, treasure, talent were the three in higher ed that we've kind of heard, and we'll chat a little bit more about that later. But thank you so much for talking through this. And I'd love to just talk through reporting for a second. So we'll get into the numbers and achievements that you've done soon. But we kind of chatted, you get access to the Bandwango suite of reporting, kind of who's signing up, what they're doing. Just from your own words, can you share kind of the value that you expected kind of going into the platform and what you've kind of seen without sharing the numbers, which we'll get to very shortly?
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the first things that that was really important to us was just to see that students were using the pass and that they were using it past the Big Sky experience. So that was really important to us. So being able to see daily check-ins, weekly check-ins, where they went, what time they went, were they going during structured activities, or was it just on their own out venturing in the community? So that was really cool for us to be able to see that minute breakdown of every single thing that was going through the platform. I think that was kind of the biggest thing that we saw.
Love that. Yeah. So it's basically, all the sign up data of who's signing up, who's engaging, who's going to what part of campus at what time of day. And honestly, there's so much learnings that we've done and been able to share with higher education institutions as it relates to prospective students, people that weren't in their database, or learnings about their current students' behavior that they just didn't know about just because they weren't able to track before. And you guys mentioned what, Devin, you said earlier about the ability to track who's going and taking advantage of what offers and whatnot, obviously the Bandwango reporting platform. So I'm thrilled to hear you say that. And I'm sure people are very excited about kind of the main event, which is the results section here, which is kind of what we've been able to do. And you've already gone from one pass to 4 passes in market. I did see one in draft form, which I'll let you share if you want to share about, or we could go for another mystery prize theme, as you mentioned earlier. But let's kind of go through the goals that we have here and just talk through what you guys accomplished so far and what you're most looking forward to in the future. So the first goal here that you had, so you wanted to get 75% of the new students that are coming on campus to use Bandwango. Obviously a really high goal. I'll flip the side and I'll let you talk through what you've been able to achieve.
Yeah, so we had 82% of our incoming first-year students sign up for Bandwango, which was amazing. One thing that really stood out to me was the number of students that signed up before they got to the Big Sky experience, in-person orientation. So we had, I want to say, almost 24% of students. One thing that I think is a correlation to the 23% of students is that we got that download the Big Sky experience pass notification in the online track. We got that up a little bit late. So a lot of our students had already gone through the online orientation and completed it. So I think for next year, we'll definitely have to get that out once the online orientation launches. That way we maximize the amount of students that see the announcement and then go in and complete or download the pass. So
I love that. Congratulations on these huge numbers. Oh, sorry, Devin, were you going to add something?
I was just going to add that we launched our new student orientation right after the 4th of July, which was our goal. So if you we had a very short timeline to implement all these things. And I do just want to clarify, going late was entirely on us. We ran into some issues with the procurement piece. And then, as Haley mentioned, had some challenges getting everything embedded on our website, but it was all our fault. And so that 24%, we had basically 2 weeks less time of that being in front of students. and several hundred students had already done the orientation in those first 2 weeks. And so I think there's just a ton of room to grow with that percentage of again, getting students excited through this platform before they even show up onto campus. Summertime, without having summer orientation programs, there's a lot of dead air. And so without an enrollment deposit at our institution, it's a lot of guessing as to who's actually going to be here. And so I think moving forward into future years, this could potentially be a really good yield metric for our institution. And so if you are also a school without an enrollment deposit or any sort of like hard commitment, any other sort of data point is really critical to being able to make the guess of who's actually going to show up when school starts.
Love that. Yeah, great points. And I think, going towards those core metrics are exactly where we want to align ourselves in them. You made a few great points. So I think first, congratulations on getting, in the mid 80s of percentage of people to kind of do, an optional, right, type of activity here, but for fun prizes that ultimately is going to engage them and show the school spirit and beyond. And I think those learnings, we've actually experienced that even with some other schools. It was so funny. We did this with one other school, and we were trying to, they were promoting the pass, and they would show it on the third page of a welcome, accepted students welcome presentation. But the message didn't kind of get out to everyone doing the presentation. So the QR code was just not in the presentation. And it's hard to get signups when the QR code is just not in the presentation. So I think that there's a little bit of learning and just figuring out what works. But now that you have it, you have this engaged group that's really checking in. So I love to see these numbers. Moving on to goal number 2, which is, okay, if pass number 1 works well, what do we want to roll out beyond? Haley, I know you hit on some of these before, but if you want to just talk us through why you did these and we're thinking them, I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, so really our main goal was to keep students engaged from the Big Sky experience all the way until the end of their first year. And so that's really why we created the 3 additional passes. So the Montana Way really is our first year experience pass. We've got on-campus activities and events on there, and we've got events and just places to go within Missoula. That way we get students out and about, which is really one of our main goals here at the University of Montana is building that connection between campus and the Missoula community, since we know that's such an important part of creating that sense of belonging for students. And then kind of like I said earlier, athletics is really big here. So we wanted to have an easy way for students to access the schedules and just kind of get points for going to the activities that we have on campus. And then that Grizz Savings Pass really gets students out into the community where they can go to different stores in Missoula, get a student discount of 10% or a buy one, get one free drink. So really it's just another way for students to get out and get downtown in Missoula.
I love this. And it was a perfect transition from the initial, okay, you're here for new student orientation to start, but now, again, another surprise to maybe think on that theme over time, there's 3 more amazing things. And I think some of the things that I've learned just from you guys across the way, so your Grizz Savings Pass, you had a lot of these relationships with certain restaurants and local businesses because it's such a closely knit community, but you wouldn't be able to tell who's going to those locations. So we were able to load those into the Bandwango platforms pretty seamlessly. Any more that you want to share about that process of loading those deals or now tracking that data across the board?
Honestly, I think the entire process was pretty easy. I think the hardest part was just finding all the businesses addresses. But you guys have an AI feature built into the back end of Bandwango where you just press a button and it'll do it all for you. So it's pretty seamless. So
love that. Yeah. And it's a great overlap, honestly, with a lot of the traditional ways that Bandwango historically works with tourism, groups and destination marketing organizations. So that's kind of a really easy slam dunk. And I think the Montana Way and the Athletics Pass, it encourages visitation to unique parts of campus. And on the Montana Way, it's not only just visit the quad or go to convocation, but go to either specific events at dates and times, or just any time during your first year experience or beyond, like make your way to this part of campus or this part of campus. And I think that's an awesome way. And I think, have you gotten good feedback so far about the kind of students using this so far, if you're able to share anything?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I definitely see like the same names kind of popping up in our like completions. So we have some very engaged students, which is great to see. I would love to see like more names on the list, but with it being our first year, there's always that room for growth and like how we market and how we talk about it with our students. So.
Totally. Yeah. I'm not sure if you guys are using some of the newer features around messaging and text messaging of the people that have only gone to one location or haven't gone. So I think we should actually brainstorm separately to this, not on with kind of everyone on the line, but we can definitely share some ideas of ideas that I think could help. So this is awesome. I'm so glad to hear this is going well. Devin, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I was just going to say they're totally separate project, but I am leading sort of an audit of all of our internal student communications right now. And so we're trying to be a lot more strategic and coordinated with the messages that we're giving to all of our current students. And so we're a campus ESP school. We have been for a long time. And we're actually piloting a new product of theirs to communicate with students. And so one of the things that we're excited to try is to start advertising this Bandwango and the passes that we have, the Montana Way, the Gris Savings Pass, to our students through that communication channel. Outside of the Big Sky experience, we haven't done a ton of marketing to students on the continuing side of things. And so I can't believe we're already in November and this semester is like 2/3 over, but that's definitely something that Haley and I have talked about. And I think we would see some more names on there if we had done some more active marketing. And so would love to brainstorm some ideas. And I know Haley and I have a few ideas of our own. So if I would guess one piece of advice, if you are looking at doing kind of the more year-long pass style, having a comp plan in advance would probably be a recommendation I would make.
Great call. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of learnings that we've had. And the good news is that we have our team that's dedicated on higher education. So the learnings that we're seeing, and I think the themes, Devin, that you shared, and Haley, you too, this works well at our school because we're a D1 school, and this works well at our school because we have this. I think the fun part for me of Bandwango is that you can basically customize it for whatever the right size school. I mean, we just signed a small school in Pennsylvania at NACAC, where we were 3 weeks ago, and they have a unique use case that's very, very different. They say, I want to know about the use cases for the small schools as opposed to the big schools. We also work from tiny schools to you guys and Ohio State and more. So there's a lot of good learnings that we want to share collectively because each school is so different. It's not like a type of pass. And then one note that you see here, I know that we've referenced kind of the Bandwango pass, the Bandwango pass. The pass is fully white labeled on here. Just for anyone listening on the line, there's no Bandwango here. It lives solely, we mentioned a mobile website. It's on the actual school's website, so Montana's website and beyond, so that the school gets all of the marketing, the analytics, the web traffic, and beyond. But really amazing results on these. And then I want to go towards the last goal that we have here, which is ultimately on the retention and engagement. And obviously we're, almost through the first semester on campus for the first year. We're going to see more of spring to fall, and then we're going to see fall to fall kind of after that. But based on your learnings, do you want to share about how you're already thinking of expanding this based on what's working? And Haley, I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah, so right now, all of the Bandwango passes that we have been purely marketed at our first year, like incoming cohort of students. So I think like looking forward, we would really love to develop either like specific passes for our second year, our third year, and our fourth year and beyond students, just as a whole. That way they have the access and the ability to use them as well. And then we've also been thinking about creating like tailored experiences for our transfer and our adult learner students, just since they are a traditionally like underserved population of students who can struggle to create that sense of belonging on campus. So by creating tailored experiences for them, we can help them get connected to the institution, to the campus community, and just to their peers on campus. So that's what we're looking forward to. Yeah.
Yeah, these are amazing. I mean, you guys, I would say, have expanded the fastest out of our current university clients so far. There's some people very close behind you. So I think, but I think the learnings that you guys have done have been awesome. Like you've already expanded the passes for first year. You're now looking at second year, third year, fourth year to kind of increase that. And even transfer students and adult learners. And I think the idea with Bandwango, given you have unlimited passes, you can create these different variants for each different use case with different messaging, different check-ins, different rewards that might be more or less incentivizing from each of those. So I think that this is just awesome. And I think even some, like one learning on another one, which I'll share in a bit in more detail, I think one works so well in one area that it spurred ideas for other areas. So I'd imagine like if we have this chat kind of in 1 year's time, there might be totally different use cases than you would have even considered. We'll save that maybe for a mystery to come back to use that theme again for next year, but we're just thrilled. And is it fair to say, before we kind of talk through the broader Bandwango platform, and then we'll come back to kind of recaps at the end, are people just thrilled internally at Montana, like colleagues, bosses, provost, deans? Like, is there a little bit of buzz around the program at the school right now?
I mean, I would like to think so. I know I know that like Karen, who we talked about earlier, like has still been having some of those conversations about how we can expand it to other areas on campus. So that's been really exciting to see that like what we've been doing has already been making an impact and making waves. So hopefully that can, like that momentum can continue to grow and we see it spread out over campus.
And I would add, we did the VIG program as it was initially created for like 3 or 4 years. I spent probably thousands of dollars on swag that was branded for that. And I still can't tell you if anyone ever used it. And so for me, I'm just thrilled that we had, 84% of our incoming class, I can tell you for sure, used the thing that we paid for. And that there's a large percentage of them who are still engaging and still going out and doing the experiences and using the discounts. And so to me, like that's all the data that I need to see that this has a return on our investment, and our leadership would feel the same about that too. So I'm really excited about this. And I can't wait to see the year-end analysis of how everything goes and what impact it might have on our retention.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll have to do another one of these of year 1 to year 2 retention and how that kind of boosted and whatnot. And I think the theme that you said, I've heard that also just about swag in general, about ROI and using it at the right times with the right incentives, with the right motivation, I think can be really telling. And the platform kind of does that. So I appreciate you both kind of diving into this. Before we kind of like conclude, I'm just going to zoom out for a little bit, just in case anyone who's watching is not familiar with a broad use of the Bandwango platform. Just at a very high level, Bandwango can take the fun locations in and around your campus and turn them into these fun mobile pass experiences delivered via text message on the right-hand side of the screen. These are ultimately, it's your campus and your story, but our platform brings it to life even more in some of the fun, innovative ways that Devin and Haley have already kind of showcased and used. And the main ROI that we're really focusing on in the higher education space can be dependent on the specific area and goals that you have. So for example, as Devin said very acutely earlier, on the admission side, it's about number of applications and yield boost, right? If we can do that and influence that, which we have now case studies on, and we now have a bunch of schools using it, I'll talk more about that shortly, that will be a big needle mover. On the current student side, which this is a perfect bucket, we've talked about the retention, the engagement rate. Clearly, there's already a mid-80s engagement rate on this, which will hopefully lead to those ultimate yield retention year over year, semester over semester, and whatnot elements, as well as alumni, which I should really change these to time, treasure, and talent, because they want the time for alumni, the treasure of their donations, and their talent for specific knowledge to really influence. And this can be an engagement tool. And I'll share what Ohio State did very shortly. And we also have some schools focusing on the athletics and fans, given the D1 schools and whatnot, or it doesn't have to be, but just trying to get more fans engagement and do like interesting things on campus to support, school spirit and the community. This is just a broad overview for those not familiar. So Bandwango has done this at scales for 10 years now. Although we're new to the higher education space, we've built and partnered with our partners, over 500 customers all across the world, and built over 3,000 passes with them. The schools that we're working with on the top WashU, Lebanon Valley College, and Nevada are all using this for mainly admissions use cases, although they're expanding. Montana, we know about here. Ohio State and Bowling Green State University are using us for alumni programs. I'll talk about that shortly. And Penn State is launching very soon a paid pass to support the athletes and NIL collective, which is a really emerging trend and space recently now too. So that's a little bit about Bandwango. And now, given the audience that we have on the line, I want to highlight a few unique and cool, very timely and novel use cases. I think this might spur some ideas across the board. So the first is on the admissions side. So on the left side, this is what Nevada's passed, University of Nevada, Reno. They basically want to boost, they want to showcase the surrounding area of their campus, because that's what, will get them to lose fewer students to their kind of competitive schools. Again, everything is dependent on what's going on at the school and what the consideration is and what the ROI goal is. It can be tied to presidential initiatives. It can be tied to other departmental initiatives, but their goal was kind of showcase the surrounding community and do that via swag. So they're doing exactly that. They're doing a very similar program where Haley and Devin are still incentivizing kind of check-ins in areas, and they're doing that at Nevada on their 2 campuses across town, as well as kind of giving some deals and discounts as well. WashU in St. Louis is one that we also met at AMA last year, which is also how we met you guys. They are doing a fun quiz check-in, self-guided tour experience. So I won't talk about what they were using before, but I think they're very happy that ours is now kind of in place for this solution. But they're doing very innovative, like fun quiz check-in. So when you go to the quad, check in and answer a fun trivia question around what's going on and what's unique, or how many, majors in this category are there. And I think, the student has to get it right. And, the whole point of higher ed, right, is to educate and inspire, and they're doing it in a really creative way to kind of engage that prospective student as well on campus. So I just kind of wanted to highlight that one. The alumni one, I think, is a huge opportunity. So we partner with Ohio State University. That's the example here. They have 600,000 alumni around the world, which is crazy. So that's just a huge number and effort to try and get them more engaged, to donate their time or dollars or whatnot, or expertise to the area. They did a really, really fun program with passes for homecoming, which we're still in the month of October, so it's homecoming month that are happening right now. So they built 2 passes. One of them was for the on-campus alumni that visited campus, and they have at Ohio State, they have Brutus, which is kind of that little guy, if you can kind of see, that's their mascot. So they actually have like 20 Brutus statues around campus. And if you went to school there, you know them, you know about them, they have kind of history, and they're each kind of themed. So if you look kind of at the small print here, there's one that's a gold Brutus. There's one that's an ROTC Brutus. There's one that's this Brutus. And what they did is, if you're on campus, they did a GPS scavenger hunt to win an Ohio State University Yeti branded mug, which is what you see on the right. And if you're virtual, so they can literally send this to 600,000 alumni, you can do a quiz question check-in remotely. So I just love their innovation of how they basically did programs for those that are physically present and virtually present. And kudos to Devin and Haley, because you guys actually did this in one pass, which is the new student orientation of the first check-in is virtual before you arrive, and then the second ones are all in person. So I think there's really creative ways to just use this as an engagement tool, whether it's a GPS check-in or a QR scan or a PIN code or even a quiz question to engage. And I think those are the main ones. We actually, there is one more that I actually want to share. This is a new one that's coming soon. I won't share more about the school, but basically this one school has an admissions focus, which they know their yield rate goes up significantly if someone comes on campus. So they want to incentivize people to come on campus physically and see the school. And they're giving multiple thousands of dollars off tuition if you sign up for the Bandwango Pass and then check in at locations on campus. So it's really innovative ways that can ultimately boost the yield. And I just wanted to highlight some of the novelty that we're seeing in the space. So I am going to look for a Q&A right now. So for those on the line, if you want to just put in your comments or questions into the chat, we'd be happy to address those here shortly. So I'll just keep an eye on those and just prompt everyone to kind of focus on those. Perfect. Thank you so much. And we'll just start this next section, and then we can come back to any outstanding questions. But this is kind of regroup time. So we're kind of 51 minutes in. I just wanted to turn it to our two experts here who are innovators in the space. They're passionate in the space. They're just doing really novel things across higher education. And I wanted to turn it over to you. Maybe Haley, will start with you, and Devin will kind of wrap with you. Haley, what would you say to all those in higher education that might be watching today or considering something like this for their university?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that drew us to Bandwango that I just want to share is that the ability to have it directly on a student's phone has been a game changer. I think it's like 97% of all of like our incoming students have like a smartphone or have the capacity to have one. So just knowing that like so many of our students already have a phone on them and we can just add this to their home screen has been huge, because we know that they don't go anywhere without their phones. And I've always just loved like the gamification and like competition piece. So if you can find a way to make whatever activity or experience that you're wanting to offer, like tying that gamification in, it resonates a lot with students, and we see a lot more return of investment if we've built that in there. So I think that's probably like my biggest takeaway from this experience.
Love that. Yeah, thank you so much for that. That's wonderful. And Devin, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, I think, this has been said multiple times during this presentation, but I just want to underscore the importance of finding what unique challenges you're trying to face on your specific campus for your specific goals. Because I think, with platforms like this, whether it's a scavenger hunt platform or this sort of, discount pass platform, like you can kind of get stuck in thinking that that's the only thing you can do with it. But as Haley has so perfectly demonstrated, like you can do anything you want with this in any way. And so, we knew that we were losing students, 1,400 check-in on Monday, but there's definitely, I didn't get rid of all 1,400, grab bags on Friday. So who's actually still left? And this was able to help us solve that problem. And so thinking about like where are the gaps in data? Where are the gaps in engagement? Where are the gaps in whatever else your office might be doing? Like there could be a way where having a platform like this where you can get people to check in at a specific location or on a specific date and time or go to a specific place in the community, like there's a lot of power in that. And I'm just, again, really excited to see all of the data at the end of this pilot year. Because I have a feeling it's going to be very revealing and allow us to make some really strategic decisions about what we want to do moving forward.
Amazing. Yeah, I think that's so brilliant and spot on. Devin, I love what you said about the unique challenges per school. We're seeing that firsthand across all of them. We talked about Nevada, who basically wants to show off the surrounding area. We talked about this small school in Pennsylvania that basically wants to get people on campus to boost yield. We're talking to one school right now, and they actually want to use it. One of the presidential initiatives is to show off the history of that particular city. And they have a first-year course academically about that, and they have to go to certain places around the town and city to check in. And literally, they're talking about using Bandwango for academic credit. So I think there's a tremendous amount of use cases here. I think as far as the chat goes, I think we are going to keep that have to be for a mystery chat because I think people are being a little shy right now, so we don't have chat. So there might be some follow-up, which kind of segues in perfectly into this slide here. So I just wanted to share my email here. I'm sure Devin and Haley would be probably happy to chat. Also, if you guys have questions, if you email me, I'm happy to forward that along to them. But we just want to thank everyone so much for their time, for joining us. Haley and Devin, I wanted to thank you particularly for joining us and the preparation and enthusiasm that you have for the Bandwango program and the network. We're thrilled to not only launch this for the first one with current students with your university, but also for the exciting things that you're going to do to engage for future current students and adult learners and transfer students and second, third, fourth years and beyond, and maybe even broader implications through the school. So thank you both for joining us. And I think we'll wrap up the webinar now. And thank you everyone for joining.